Starting with the smooth hip movements, we're going to look at how we would build upon our existing skills, or if you're brand new to belly dance, start the skills which will allow you to do two simple figure eights. We're going to look at the taksim, which is a downward movement, and the maya, which is an upward movement to start. So let's get started with how you would build upon your muscle control to do both of those movements. I'd like you to bend your knees and tuck your pelvis under, nice raised chest, and we're going to slide from side to side. So you want to feel as if somebody's pushing your hips, one side, other side, one side, other side. The top half stays fairly static. Obviously you're attached, so there's a little bit of movement, but it's the bottom half which just slides out as if you're being pushed one way, then the other way, one way, then the other way. So that's the side to side movement, and it's called a hip slide naturally. The other two movements that we will use are up and down motions with our hips. So if we just squat down nicely, remember that your knees should always be slightly flexed in belly dance anyway. Still we've got our pelvis tucked under us nicely and our rib cage raised, and we're going to have our knees going in and out to help our hips to go up. So you want to pull your hip up, and when one's up, the other one's down, and up on the other side. Up and down and up and down. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So up and down with your hips. And you can see that your knees are going in and out to help that movement. If your knee is in, make sure that it hasn't come completely back, but there's still some flexion in your knee available. So it's not back, it's just slightly straighter. And that will bring your hip up. When you have a bent knee, your hip's down. So when they're going in and out and in and out, that's bringing your hip up and down and up and down. So those four movements are one side and the other side, and up and down. So let's put those together to do the maya. So the maya is the hip up movement. So we're going to bend our knees slightly, raise the hip, so that was the up movement, and now we're going to bring our hip to the side, so that's the out. So we're going up one, out two, we're dropping our hip down, so your knees will be pretty much even now, and then we're bringing it back to a neutral position. So up, out, down, and then neutral. And then we're going to swap over to the other side. So the knee's going to go backwards, allowing our hip to come up, then we're taking it to the side, we're taking it down, and then back to neutral. Up, out, down, and neutral, up, out, down, and neutral, up, and up, and up, and up. Nice hand movements to use with this would be the floreo, which looks as if you're picking up a glass and turning it over, or a framing motion with your hands, just framing your hips, letting everyone know, well, hello, have a look down at my hips and see what great stuff they're doing. So that's your lower area doing a smooth movement, and it's the maya, which is the up movement. So we're going to reverse that now, and we're going to look at the taksim, which is a downward motion. So for this, you're going to drop your hip down, then push it out to the side, pick your hip up and slide it down through neutral. That way the other hip's coming down, then it'll go out to the side, up and down through neutral. Down, out and up, down, out and up, down, out and up, down, out and up. So remember that we use those four corners, the up and the out and the down, and the in, so you're back to where you were, and remember that we're putting those back together again. Now we're going to use both of those hip movements, and we're going to go from one to the other. We're going to start with the taksim, which is the down, out, up and in, down, out, up and in, describing a figure eight in that manner. And then we're going to swap to the maya, which is going over and over. So hips down for the taksim, and down, out, up, down, out, up. You're going to feel your muscles move moving along your tummy, and you're going to go from one side to the other side, one side to the other side, one side to the other side, one side to the other side. And now we're going to swap, and we're going over and over and over and over. So this is the Maya. This is the up and up and up and up and. And remember that you can make little waving motions with your hand, not too fussy so that it detracts from your hip, or the floreo, or a frame. But pretty much anything that you want to do that isn't going to detract from the beauty of the movement is just fine. Let's go for the taxi now. So we're going to stop and reverse, and down, and down, and down. And here I'm going to use a very subtle snake arm. So I'm pulling my shoulders back, and back, and back, and back. And for this movement, I like to think of the hip and the hand working in conjunction. So I'm pulling, as if I'm pulling a piece of string. I'm pulling my hip up with my hand. You can also do it with the emphasis more on the shoulders, and it feels then as if you're letting a little trickle of water run down your arm and off the end. So you're shrugging that drip of water, and you're just going to flick it out the end. Shoulders up, shoulders up, shoulders up, shoulders up, and shoulders up.